Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die podcast. I am your host, Mual, man. First off, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're listening, whenever you tapped in. If you're on the YouTube side, we want to make sure that you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate that, especially if you are brand new to the channel. If you are on the Twitter side, what's up, man? If you want to migrate over to the YouTube, you know you can, definitely, for sure. You can be a part of the show. We do have call-ins on this episode. So you can call in. I would say, put it this way. So we're supposed to have a guest. Glover Quin is supposed to be checking in. Former safety of the Detroit Lions, current host of the BLEAV in Lions podcast on the BLEAV network. I think you kind of know where we're going with this, right? Trying to get a little profile going with Ben Johnson. So I think we are tapping in any minute now with him. So stay tuned for that, like literally early on. Audio side, if you are on the audio side, man, make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you hit that subscribe or wherever you're listening. Rate, review if you can. We definitely appreciate that as well. Let me get the good man, AJ. Oh, AJ, I thought AJ. All right, there we go. I'm looking at backstage right now, making sure AJ good. Before I check in, man. What's going on with you, player? How you feeling, bro?
I'm good, man. How about you?
I can't call it. Jay, Philip, AJ gonna talk with me out of Ben Johnson. What's going on, Monty? Hey, you look, like I said, we got Glover checking in right now, actually. So we're gonna go ahead and get the train rolling, Philip. So you never know. You may still be sold. I don't know. But anyway, I think this is a good time to get things going. Let's go ahead and get in. Like I said, Glover Quin of BLEAV in Lions podcast. He is the host over there, and former safety of the Detroit Lions and Houston Texans. Let me go ahead and bring the big dog again. And boom. Boss man, what's going on with you? Appreciate you joining us.
Man, ain't nothing to it, man. How y'all doing?
I'm all right, man. Hey, bro. So I used to, is it Glover or like Glover? Because I think I called you both at one point in my life.
It's Glover.
Glover, boom,
Glover.
there you go.
Yeah.
I gotta check in and make sure. All right, so we
with
got our other guy.
With the guys on that you were teammates with, what they call you, for sure.
Man, they call me all types of stuff. I get GQ,
Okay.
I get Q, I get G. In football a lot, I got Glove, Quin. Obviously, that's more like a coach's talk right there. You know what I'm saying? They call you last name.
Yeah.
So I get it all, man. But the official is Glow.
Glow, there it is. I feel like when you are like when you around a group of people, especially like from a football aspect or a team aspect, like some people you can go through 1,000 different stops and you're gonna find 1,000 different nicknames, and they're gonna find whatever work for them.
Yeah, man. You know, it's just kind of like, whatever comes naturally, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, my name is Glover, but in the football terms, with catching interceptions and playing defense, it was easy for people to call me the glove and stuff like that. So then people would hit me and be like glove, and I knew who they was talking about, you know what I'm saying? But then it's also easier for dudes or people just to be like, what up, Q, or what's up, GQ? Most people don't call you by your government, you know what I'm saying? And then the people in your adult life, they not really around, or they wasn't around your childhood life. So they don't know your at the crib, little, young nickname that they called you back around the block. So when you go back home and you start hearing people calling you by that name, you be like, hey, hold on, man, where that come from? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of crazy.
Hey, so listen though, before one quick thing before we get into Detroit, man, you're on the media / content side now. I remember so I did the scouting academy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but like one of the things that I did, a lot of research is trying to understand like in depth like details and defenses. I remember seeing a YouTube video like you breaking down like simplistic structures of defenses and things like that. But now you also have a podcast, bro. Like how is this? She relax, man. How's this this whole media / content side been treating you since you've went from NFL to now covering the team in Detroit?
Man, it was actually kind of crazy because like what you was talking about, I had created this thing called the DB room, right? So this was during COVID. And I don't know if people were doing podcasts. I wasn't really into that stuff then because I was playing, you know what I'm saying? And so then when I retired, next thing you know, COVID hit in 2020 or whatever that was. And so I'm just sitting at the crib one day. I was in my room. My sinuses was acting up. I never tested positive for COVID, but my wife, she had thought that she was like, you look kind of sick. So she made me go in the other room. And while I'm just in the room chilling, I started thinking about all these like stories and stuff. And so I was like, man, you know what? I think I'm gonna tell this story. So I just got up, got my cameras and stuff, and like I recorded this story and I put it on like my socials or whatever. And it kind of was like people like reacted to it like it was kind of solid, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, I got another story for y'all. So then I came back the next week. I told a story of how I had caught a pick six off Matt Ryan. Kind of told him the whole like how the play happened, how the film study happened, like the night before when I saw it, like everything. And it went like 10,000 plus views or something like that at the time. I was like, oh snap, this is kind of crazy, right? So I was just getting into my photography, videography type of journey. And so I was watching a bunch of YouTube stuff. And so I was started realizing like, man, you know what? People go to YouTube to like learn stuff, you know what I'm saying? To see how to do stuff, right? How to do this, how to do that. And so I was like, you know what, man, I think I'm gonna start teaching normal casual fans football on YouTube and just make like little videos breaking down basic terminology so that when you're watching games and you're hearing Tony Romo talking about cover 4 and post routes and corner routes and rub routes and all these different things, 21 personnel, 11 personnel, you have some kind of idea of like what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And so I started doing that. And so then I was like, you know what? I'm going to call my channel the DB room because the DBs always had the coolest rooms on the team. Everybody liked to hang out in the DB room. You know what I'm saying? We had food. We got guest speakers. We had all types of stuff going on in the DB room with cracking jokes. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to call my channel the DB room and I'm going to have like guests come in and do like little interviews and stuff. And I'm going to break down film. And so I just kind of started doing that. So I was doing like live shows with like Calvin Johnson and Tyrann Matthew and Stephon Gilmore, all these people, crazy stuff. Like, and this was during COVID, right? And I was breaking down film and stuff on YouTube, cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, going over all the different personnels and stuff like that. And it's crazy because I haven't even posted on that channel in like probably 2 years or whatever. And I still be getting comments and people just be hitting me up like, man, I appreciate them videos. You're going to do some more, or man, I learned a lot looking at those videos. I'm like, dang, that was 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
But you see, like,
it still be getting subscribers to it. Probably got like 12, 13,000 subs right now. I'm like,
yeah, you never know what the stuff do for people, man. And I think that's probably, like, to your point, like it surprised you. It made sense, but like something that can be simple because of the level that you are, something that could be simple for you. It's like, damn, this shit. I need it. I ain't never knew this what that was. So like,
right.
It is interesting, man. Dre, I see you checking in. What's going on with you, big dog? How you feeling, bro?
My bad, Mark. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. What's good, y'all, man? No, I'm good, man. Just getting back up in the house, man. Had to get some things together, but happy to be here. What's up, Glover, man? How you doing, bro?
I'm solid, man. How you, boss?
Yes, sir. I'm good, man.
Good, all right, good. So y'all know why we here. Jay said he want to get a profile of the Golden Boy. I see you, Jay. Jerry said just need a QB. Who we talking about? Jerry. Oh, you're talking about Ben Johnson. Jerry. Okay. All right. So Glover's in here. Let's kind of start with the team and then narrow ourselves down to Ben. Y'all are on the way to an NFC title game against the matchup or against the San Francisco 49ers, man. And I think if one of the things that showed me y'all was some dogs, or the Detroit Lions was some dogs, it wasn't even this year. It was last year. Like, y'all stretch run, but also knocking Green Bay out of the playoffs. Like, the thing that kind of stuck with me, it wasn't the fact that y'all actually beat Green Bay. It was the mentality that your head coach had going into the game and what he said after the game. And it was all about, like, I don't give a damn, like, what Green Bay had going on. Like, we finna smoke them and get them out. And that's kind of what changed my mindset about how Detroit whole philosophy and culture and what that meant for them and how that can really propel them to something in the next season so long as everything continues to grow and develop. What do you think about this year? Like, I guess the question was, like, is it a complete surprise, or is it something where you've been close enough long enough to know that, yeah, these guys was for real for a long time?
Yeah, they've been playing well for a long time, man. Like, even like when Dan Campbell, they were playing, and honestly, they were losing the games, but it was like little things that you could see that was causing them to lose. It'd be like a close game. They weren't getting blown out, right? It'd be like a mistake in a key moment or a turnover in a crucial time or just something like that. But they were always close. They were playing hard. They were playing, and you could see it, but they were just having to learn how to win, right? And so then they get out of that first season, and it was a tough year. You can see glimpses, but they just wasn't getting the results. And then you go to last year, they come in off of the Hard Knocks, and everybody's all, feeling good about the Lions because you get to see the story and you learn the players, and the hype was really high. And they started out the season like 1-5, 1-6, and it's like, oh, here we go again, right? And then all of a sudden, it started to click, and they finished the season off going like this. And like you said, that last game, to go to Green Bay, where Green Bay has everything to win, right? They win, they in the playoffs. The Lions win, and they still going home, right? But they get to knock off a division opponent that's really been the big bully in the division for a lot of years, right? My years when I was in Detroit, we had 2 winner-take-all games in the last game of the season against the Green Bay Packers, and we could never get over the Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, did we have great teams? Sure, but we couldn't beat Aaron Rodgers in the game that matters the most to win a division. And so for them to go into Green Bay's house in that type of game and get that win, that just propelled them into the offseason. They went and had a great offseason. And then this year, I think they were ready for the hype that was around them, because the expectations, I think, were lower but higher, meaning it was the Lions. So they supposed to be good, but we ain't really expecting them, because last year of Hard Knocks, we was expecting them to be good, and they really wasn't like that. And so they were able to kind of come in and really, I don't want to say under the radar, but really just try to kind of like sneak up on a lot of people. Like they opened up with Kansas City and beat them on national TV. And that was kind of like, oh, this the same team that went into Green Bay and beat them the last game of the year. But no, they're better. They got Jahmyr Gibbs now. They got Brian Branch, they drafted in the second round. They had a pick 6 in the first game. They got Sam Laporta, the tight end. Like, they got some more pieces. They just went to Kansas City and won. They might be okay. And then they were able to keep stacking on it. So they've been playing good for a while, man. And they just happened to, all come together at the right time, health-wise, injury-wise, all that stuff, man. It just came at the right time. And, they've been doing good.
What type of I would say, when you think about Dan Campbell and what he's brought, because I know Ben Johnson was an OC in 2022. I don't know the name of the guy that was there before him, but he moved on.
Anthony Lynn.
Oh, it was Lynn. Okay. It was Dan. That's terrible. I should have known that. Anthony Lynn was Anthony Lynn was there.
Oh, by the way, he's now with the 49ers still.
Okay.
I think he was the running game coordinator or something like that.
Running game coordinator.
Right. That's what he generally is.
So Lynn was there in 2021. Ben got there in 2022. What type of differences? Well, I started with Dan, but I'll go to Ben right quick. But what type of differences have you seen from Ben since he's taken over with the Detroit Lions? I'll stop there because I got 1,000 thoughts on Ben.
I mean, I think you've seen, and from a player standpoint, you've just seen the consistency. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't understand that, like, a lot of these offenses are really complex. Even defenses are really complex, and they're never ending, right? And so when you get these people that come in these systems and they're trying to learn these systems overnight, it's very difficult. The ones that have the best success are the ones that can stay in the same system for a while, because now you get to learn the system, you get to understand the system, and then the coordinator can really, 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 really add to it, tweak a couple things, because everybody really understands it. And so the thing that you see is just that camaraderie, that continuation, because he's gotten to know the players that he has. The players understand him. So when you look at all the guys that they have, he really just mixes it up. You know what I'm saying? You have guys on the outside, Jameson Williams, Reynolds, that can go up top. You have a guy underneath that can control the game, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But you also got a receiving tight end that you can get the ball to. Now you got 2 running backs. You want one that can come out the backfield in Jahmyr Gibbs, one that you hand the ball off to, David Montgomery. So they just do so many different things, and it really just all depends on what's working that day. But you're going to see them go to the tight end. You're going to see them go to Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're going to see them take a shot every now and then. Not a whole lot of shots. I've been wanting to see actually probably more shots to Jameson Williams, but that could also be Jameson Williams. I don't know how he is in practice. He came off the ACL and he's been injured and he had the suspension, and I don't know what he know and what he don't know, and how he performs in practice and how he don't perform. So that may be the reason why they don't take as many shots. I mean, they threw a shot to him on Sunday, and I thought it was a great pass by Jared Goff, and it's like Jameson didn't even attempt to catch the ball. I don't know if he saw it, didn't see it, but it looked like it could have been like a great, over the shoulder catch, and there was not even an attempt on the ball. So I don't know why. I would like to see more shots, but it could be a reason behind all that. But you are going to see a lot of the plays to the tight end and across the middle on the corner routes. You're going to see, Amon-Ra St. Brown over the ball, across the field, sidelines. You're going to see some screens here or there. You're going to see the run game downhill. You're going to see the run game lateral. You're going to see, it's a lot of different things that they do. But like I say, a lot of that has to do with all of the pieces that he has, for one, And then just the fact that Jared Goff's been there for a number of years now, so he understands the system. Amon has been there for a number of years now. So those key pieces understand the system, and then everybody else can just play their role as they learn the system more.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, coming into this interview with you and you being a former Detroit Lion player and being so close-knit with the team, I didn't even want to ask you about Jameson Williams, aka Mr. FanDuel. But he's way too talented to not be getting the ball more in this offensive system and how the scheme is set up. There should be more deep shots available to him, like you stated, especially with that speed. Do you think that maybe sometimes Ben gets too caught up in his system and not necessarily feeding playmakers such as a Jameson Williams more, and even like take Jahmyr Gibbs? Like the game just Sunday, he only had 9 rushing attempts. He broke one for 31, and that was a touchdown. And I think he had like 4 receptions. Do you feel like he doesn't take advantage sometimes of that weaponry, or maybe he's not acclimated to them yet within their skill set and fitting within the mold of his system in a sense?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of different things that go into that, especially, you know, from a coordinator standpoint, because when you have all those weapons, it just kind of depends on like who's on today. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are our matchups today? Hey, these group right here, they got great linebackers. So you know what? We're probably gonna have to exploit this matchup. Hey, these guys got great corners. We're probably gonna have to exploit this matchup. Their linebackers are weak. And so I think it's kind of like, you know how it is in basketball. Everybody in the starting 5 want to get a shot up in the first few possessions just to see, hey man, this might be my night. I might can go for 40 tonight. You know what? I hit my first 3. Let me see if I can hit another 3. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of times it's kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? If Jahmyr Gibbs is breaking runs and he's doing this and that, he may get more carries that game, and David Montgomery may not get as many. You know what I'm saying? If they stacking it up, if David Montgomery is running, he's getting 8-9 yards a pop or 5-6 yards. Okay, well, David Montgomery might get more that day. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of shots to Jameson Williams. I see some every now and then, but I haven't seen as many as I would like. But I think with Ben, he's more of a system guy. Like he like guys, I think, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, like Sam Laporta, guys that just can fit into the system. I don't know if he's a Calvin Johnson type of guy. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that he wouldn't love to have Calvin Johnson, but I don't think he wants like that one person that's like the man. I think he likes having 5-6 guys that, you know what, let's see who's open. And now with all our crossing routes, our screen game, our deep shots, our corner routes, our play action, all these things, we got a plethora of guys that we can go to, as opposed to, hey man, we got to force feed the ball to this guy, this and this and that. And so if Jameson is not showing it in practice, or they don't like the matchups, they're probably not going to take a shot. And when you look at a guy like Jameson, you see him drop the ball on deep comeback routes. You see him drop the ball on out routes. You see him drop those passes. So the confidence that they have in him to do anything other than run a deep ball isn't their problem. I mean, we've seen him drop wide open deep passes, not even go after the one on Sunday. So I don't really know what's going on right there with Jameson and the whole offensive thing. But I think Ben does a great job of trying to spread the ball around and really run his system. He just got to have, in my opinion, the guys to make that system go.
Hey, I was just going to bounce off of that because AJ, you know, I do feel like you are nitpicking a little bit with Ben Johnson because you got your favorites. You know, you do. Gibbs and Williams is your guys.
I mean, I just like my dogs to get fed. You feel me? Like Maul got his dog in the back. If his dog don't eat, he gonna be crying. You feel me? Like,
but Maul only got one dog.
If I go get a lead talent, I need to feed my dogs. Like, that's just how I see it. Like,
but I like Laporta and St. Brown. That's kind of where so Glover, we had a conversation where AJ mentioned literally what you spoke on, Jameson Williams and the lack of usage in a sense. And I'm on my side, I'm like, Well, you know, Laporta and Amon-Ra, they got plenty of touches. And Jameson, I mean, not Jameson, Jameer, when he got the 30-yarder and scored on it, I'm like, he still got 13. He was tied for the most touches on the team on offense. So, like, my thing in my head was, like, I feel like from a macro or outsider standpoint, I was like, Ben is using the people that's actually being productive in the sense, if that makes sense. Like, not to say that Jameson can't be productive, but it's like, if they working, why are we tripping about Jameson in my head? So I guess my question, because this is actually a really good point. Also, side note, everybody in chat, if you all have a question for Glover, put it in the chat. We can, if we got time, we can ask Glover a question. But Glover, for me, you mentioned how he is more of a system guy. I want to get your perspective from your opinion and your experience in the NFL. It's not like a right or wrong thing, but what do you prefer in a coach based on the amount of years you've played? I think you're close to 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. What are you are you a person who appreciates a coach who understands their system but understands their players more in terms of, like, maybe that player don't fit the system but he's a hell of a player? Or are you understanding or cool with a person who's like, all right, this is my system, I'm going to abide by my system, nothing else matters, if you can't work this system, I don't know if I can work with you? Like, how do you kind of distinguish those two?
Well, I mean, I think the best ones, it's a mixture of the two, right? I think you can have a good player in a bad system, and the player will be okay. He won't be great, but he could be okay just because he's a good player. You could take an okay player and put them in a good system, and they can be great players. Why? Because they fit the perfect system. And I mean, and I don't know how you guys, I mean, you guys, you should know. You think back a little while with Nnamdi Asomugha, right? He went and played for Philly, right? He was a lockdown man-to-man corner in Oakland, right? We don't want you to do anything but get in people's face, press them, run them. He was the man. He went to Philly and couldn't play. Why?
William Jackson.
They were running different things. It was a system.
That man switching sides. He only
you
played,
see what I'm saying?
Played
so
one side in Oakland.
But is he a good player?
Yeah.
You take a good player, you put him, you look at Deshaun Golson, right? Deshaun Golson, I know I'm calling a bunch of DBs, right? Deshaun Golson was probably one of the top safeties coming out of San Francisco, 2012, 13, him and Dante Whitner. He a top dog safety, right? Cover 4, one robber, hitting, interceptions. He go to Tampa and take the money, and you ain't heard from him since. Right? He wasn't a cover 2 safety. Right? So you take a good player and put them in a system that don't fit them, they're not going to be the same. Yeah, they might can make some plays for you every now and then, but you're not going to get the same impact. And so for a coordinator, I like somebody that, hey, this is my system. I want to find players that can fit inside my system. And then there's certain ways I can tweak my system for certain type of players. Yeah. That player just got to be willing to fit into the system. And a lot of these top guys, a lot of times they don't want to fit into the system because I am who I am, boss. Like, just throw me the ball. And we can't just throw you the ball, man. These other guys are good too, bro. We got to get you open. You know what I'm saying? It's not a lot of guys that you just sit over and play the XY receiver and just say, hey, you're going to go and win. The defenses nowadays, they're not going to let you do that. They're going to double team you. They're going to scheme. They're going to do all types of things. They're not going to just let you sit there and beat us the entire time. So you got to be able to work in the system. So when you look at guys like a Devontae Adams, he can play the X. They put him in motion. He played a Z. They put him in the slot. He played, like, you got to be able to move these guys around. They got to be able to run multiple routes. You can't just, nothing against Randy Moss, but you can't just win every time just running deep balls. You got to be able to run a slant. You got to be able to run a comeback. You got to be able to run, you know what I'm saying, curl routes and dig routes and over routes. Like, you got to be able to do all those things. And so all that stuff goes inside of the system. And when you have great players that don't mind fitting into a system, they're going to be even better. So that coordinator that just makes a person fit his system, probably not going to be as great because it's hard to find the right person all the time. Right. So, but when you can find that one that fits into my system and they're good, you're great. And then when you can find that great player that has a small enough ego to say, hey, I know I'm great, but I still want to work inside the system because this just gonna make me even better. It's designed to help me get open. I don't have to be macho man. I'm gonna let the system help me get open. Who cares if I'm wide open because they scheme to play? Doesn't matter. I still got numbers.
So GQ, you kind of went through that in the beginning of your NFL career at Houston, you know, moving from cornerback to safety. During your time in the NFL, you also were coached by some great coaches such as Gary Kubiak, Jim Caldwell, Jim Shorts, Terrell Austin, you know, guys of that nature. You know, we have you on the show as a Washington Commanders podcast because, like someone said in the chat earlier, the golden boy who everyone seems to be clamoring for, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, you know, with a chance to possibly get the Super Bowl Sunday, you know, it's being mentioned as like the ultimate favorite of Washington fans and within like the media brass of who possibly might land this job. With me bringing up your former coaches that you've experienced, I even forgot the name Wade Phillips in the mix of that. What would you prefer if you were back in the NFL in 2024 for your head coach? Would you prefer the X's and O's guy, or would you prefer more so of a leadership guy, or maybe even a mixture of the two?
You know, for my head coach, I want a leader and a connections guy for my head coach. For my coordinator, I want probably a X's and O's type of guy.
Can you expound further on the leadership aspect, why you would want that more so than anything head coach wise?
Because
just to give people, because not every day like our audience gets to have a former NFL player that's accomplished, Pro Bowler, you know, things of that nature. So that would just kind of help them understand why you would prefer that more so than like an exercise.
Right. So to put it in, I don't want to say normal terms like that because I'm very like, hey man, I'm from the country. I'm just a young cat that just happened to keep playing ball, right? But to put it in everyday terms, right? Most people got a job. When you go to the job, you probably got, you know, whatever type of job you probably got like a supervisor or like a manager or somebody that's like you work with hand in hand. Then you got the person up here that like they make the schedules or they like run the shop or whatever it is, right? So you probably closer to like this person than you are with this person, right? But you need this person to understand you because it kind of helps with the flow of things, right? So the head coach, he's just the overseer for most of the time. Like you have some head coaches who are more hands-on on the offensive or defensive side, like a Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid, guys like that, hey, they want to call the plays, right? Then you have some head coaches, they are the leaders. They feel in the vibe of the team. They watching the players, they're connecting with each player, they making sure everybody is straight. They feeling, hey, this is what the team need. We look kind of slow out here today. I think we need some rest. Hey, you know what? We didn't practice as good. Like they controlling the tempo and the temperature of the team. And your coordinator, that's who you spend the most time with, right? That's who you in meetings with. You're not in meetings with your head coach for 4 hours a day. You only meet with the head coach for probably 35 minutes, right? But your coordinators, your position coaches, those are the people that you spend hours and hours and hours of time with. So my head coach, I don't really care if you're an X's and O's guy because I don't really talk to you X's and O's. You know what I'm saying? I just go to you when it's like, hey man, I feel like we probably need to this or that, or hey coach, you know, is it okay if I do this or do that? Or hey coach, I need to leave meetings early today. My son's graduating from elementary school and I kind of want to, you see what I'm saying? I'm going to my head coach for those things. My coordinators who I'm going to, like, hey coach, why we call so many zone blitzes? Like we need to be doing some man-to-man blitzes, or like you talking ball with my coordinators or my position coach, right? You probably go to your position coach first and kind of get an understanding as to why we doing certain things like this. right? And then if you need to, you go to the coordinator. And so for my head coach, I need him to make sure he's going to be able to control the team, right? Somebody that can control the team, lead us, got our back, going to vibe with us, yada, yada, yada. My coordinator, hey, I need him to be able to scheme that trash up. Like, I need him to know what he's talking about. He ain't got to, like, scheme it up to where, boom, boom, boom. My position coach, that's my dog. Hey, dog. Hey, man, send me on another blitz. Hey, tell coach to send me on the blitz, man. Tell coach, let me do this right here. Hey, coach, on this play right here, they got us playing outside. Why we can't play inside and let this guy do that, right? I'm talking to my position coach because that's my brother. Coordinator, he the one that's a little higher. And then your head coach, he's the leader. So I don't care if my head coach is a great X's and O's guy. He ain't really calling the plays unless his job on the line like that anyway. You see what I'm saying? He just managing everything. Your coordinator guy, he need to know what he's talking about, X's and O's, why his scheme need to be legit. And then your position coach, he just got to be a dog with you and believe in you, and y'all go ride together. So that's why I say, for me, head coach wise, I want somebody that's I feel comfortable talking to if I need to talk to the head coach. You know what I'm saying? I don't want somebody that's a robot that just knows football. He don't have any care. He don't have, like, you look at, and I know this name keep coming up, but you look at guys like Josh McDaniel, right? He's an offensive coordinator. Why does he suck so much as a head coach? He's not a leader. He's not a leader. You know what I'm saying? Nick Sirianni, yeah, they had some success in Philly, but why is their locker room a mess right now? He's not a leader. He's just letting those guys do what they do, and they just happen to have a good run last year. You know what I'm saying? You look at a lot of these guys, they're not leaders. They just coordinators. They can call plays, but they're not team leaders. Why you think Mike Tomlin can stay there for so long? He's a leader. He ain't called down play. I'm a leader, though. You see what I'm saying?
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. He ain't called down play. I'm a leader, though. You know what I'm saying? My team going to follow me. My coordinator's going to ride with me, and they going to get the job done. And so that's kind of what I like. I don't really like those coaches that are like Kyle Shanahan. You the head coach, but you're the offensive coordinator. So in practice, are you scripting the practice for us as a defense, or is everything about your offense? Are you leaving the practice field happy when the offense had a great day of practice?
Oh, yeah.
Or are you mad
Yeah.
because the defense was awful today? So when you the head coach and you just kind of whatchamacallit, now, hey man, offense, you was clicking today. Defense, you sucked. But for Kyle Shanahan, I'm the offensive coordinator. So I'm drawing it up so the defense can suck. Why? Because I want my offense to be great. And I'm just calling out Kyle, not because we're playing the 49ers, but he's just a coach that I know is a head coach that likes to call the offensive plays. And I was with Kyle. Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator when I was in Houston. So I know Kyle. So that's why I say that. I like the head coach to kind of sit back and let the coordinators do their job, and you manage the team and let the coordinators work and do their thing.
Well, Glover, now you brought up an interesting point on that, because if obviously the Commanders were to hire Ben Johnson, I think he would be in the same position as a Kyle Shanahan, where he would probably call the plays. I mean, he's a guy that's, he does it all in Detroit as far as that goes, and I think he would want to do the same at his next destination. Is that something you would kind of fear of Ben Johnson, or would you recommend him to Washington fans, knowing that?
See, that's the thing. I don't know Ben Johnson personally as a leader. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times, people see the success of everybody that they've had, right? You look at that, I think it was 2013, maybe whatever, Washington Commanders. I think they were the Redskins at the time. But you look at that staff, they had Kyle Shanahan, young. He's a head coach right now. They had Matt LaFleur. He was Kyle Shanahan's guy, right? He was in Houston with Kyle Shanahan. They had Sean McVay. They had Mike McDaniel. They had all these young coaches that we're seeing in the league right now. They were on that coaching staff in 2013 in Washington. So when you see them go and have success as head coaches, then guess what they're looking for? They're looking for that young guy that they feel like can go and have success as a head coach. You know what I'm saying? Is Ben that guy? Possibly. I don't know him personally to say whether I feel like he's a leader to coach a team, because it's a lot different coaching a team than being a coordinator. And that's what I always say. If you're hiring him as a head coach, is he hiring an offensive coordinator? Or are you expecting him to be the offensive coordinator?
From what's being rumored, his OC in these interviews is Hank Fraley, the offensive line coach currently for the Lions.
Right. So you think about it. People are their personality, right? What is Hank Fraley? Y'all know who Hank Fraley is?
I don't know much about him.
I know he played in the league, but I don't know too much about him.
Yeah.
All right. He's an old lineman.
Yeah.
So you know what old linemen like to do, right?
They like to run the ball.
They like to run the ball.
Yeah.
Old linemen don't like to pass the ball because they don't like to pass block. They like to fire off and go hit guys. They don't like to come back and let the them go in. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know Hank Fraley as a pass. I mean, as a coordinator. But I also don't know too many offensive linemen that are offensive coordinators either. Most of the time they quarterbacks or, you know what I'm saying, like, I don't want to say nerds, but just people that studied the game because they drawing up all types of crazy plays, right? They're just drawing up crazy plays. Offensive linemen really just go and block. Half the time, they don't even understand the route concepts. They just block. They don't care if it's a post. They just need to know if I'm pass setting, run blocking, cut blocking, trap blocking. They don't know what's going on down the field. And I'm not saying that Hank doesn't know that. I'm sure he's been around systems and learned it. But, I mean, name another offensive lineman that's the offensive coordinator.
But see, Glover, to me, if that's the rumor, that says to me that Ben Johnson probably wants most of his hands on his offense, and he's going to use a guy like Fraley that he trusts to help him with being prepared for each week, and maybe help install in the game plan. Kind of like what Eric Bieniemy was to Andy Reid. I don't think Eric Bieniemy was the play call over there, but he helped Andy Reid with everything else, and I kind of feel like that's what Fraley would be if they bring him in.
No question. So that means that Ben will still be the offensive coordinator for the most part. But now, when you're in Detroit and your only job is to be the offensive coordinator, you can spend all your hours being the offensive coordinator. Now you're the head coach. You can't spend all your hours being the offensive coordinator because you got to be the head coach of the team. You got more media obligations. You got more things you got to handle. You got to worry about the defense as well. You got to sit through the special teams game planning. There's a lot of things. You can't just, and I'm not going to say that you can't just do those things. I just like the ones that could be the head coach. That's what I'm saying. If you're going to be the offensive coordinator, you really got to have a defensive coordinator and a special team coordinator that, hey, man, I trust you guys to get the job done. I'm not sitting in your meetings to make sure that I got to worry about my offense. So if he's coming over as this highly touted, coordinator, and they want him to be the head coach, he's definitely going to call the plays because at the end of the day, that's what they're trying to do, score points, right? And so that Ben's not going to come over with these high expectations and then put it off on somebody else. To me, that wouldn't be a great leader of men because now I'm putting the blame on somebody else if the offense ain't thriving from the get-go, as opposed to saying, you brought me here to get the offense going. I'm going to take on that challenge and get it going. I'm going to call the plays, right? You look at Mike McCarthy. He want to come in afterwards. Oh, no, I done gave Kellen more. Now I'm going to call the plays. Why you ain't do that from the get-go? Maybe you was trying to empower Kellen. Okay, well, then hire another offensive coordinator. But whatever.
Hey, so look, first off, this is my last question, fellas. I want to make sure that Glover, I appreciate your time, man, and everything that you provided the Washington side, man, and your perspective. My last thing is stemming from the conversation that we're having now. I think that the biggest dilemma here in Washington and what we kind of struggle, like in terms of our back and forth, is just understanding that, the big names are McDonald out of Baltimore.
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
McDonald. Yeah.
McDaniel.
McDaniel's and Dolphins. Yeah.
McDonald in Baltimore, Slowick in Houston, and obviously Ben Johnson in Detroit. And I think our biggest dilemma here in Washington, like I take a big heed into what Adam Peters is saying in terms of his main thing that he's looking for in Washington and their head coach is leadership. And I think that's a really big deal. And the conversation that we're having right now is just not necessarily saying that Ben Johnson isn't a leader. The point is you don't know, and that's nothing wrong with that. Like it's nothing wrong with saying you don't know, and there's nothing wrong with us acknowledging that we don't know. I did hear press conferences. I showed you all Dre and AJ. Like I thought that he spoke really well, and he showed like awareness of his team, but also he was very specific about his offense. He identified scheme defects or things that he can get better at. But it's all related to his offensive side of the football and specific players and specific run schemes and things like that. Sometime last offseason, Glover. But my thing is with this whole situation and dilemma, we had it in the chat. Somebody mentioned Raheem Morris. I think that's why I had Raheem and Ben as a 1A and 1B respectively, because if the idea is to have leadership be the most important thing for your head coach, there's a lot of endorsements from a lot of people, a lot of players, a lot of coaches who really like what Raheem Morris brings to the table. And I'm not making a case for or against one candidate here in Washington, but I think it's important to acknowledge that when you think about leadership traits, and if there's nothing out there to suggest that somebody is that person and somebody who may be too deep, too involved into their offense, like how are you going to be able to connect with your team? Like, I don't know if you're going to be able to like stretch yourself that thin, like not in a negative way, but just like be able to connect with the special teams, the defense, the offense, even the defensive line or the linebackers. Like just generally thinking, I'm not in the locker room, so I can't tell, but that's kind of where our dilemma here is in Washington. And this is more of a statement than it is a question. But like it just adds to the fact that you mentioned how he's able to tap into and even develop and grow in his offense, because that's all he's focused on in Detroit is an offensive side of the football. And it's shown that he knows what he's doing, but it's like, what happens when you get a bigger role? Can you force yourself to grow outside of just being an offensive person?
Right. And, what I'm going to say, man, is, and I don't know, maybe this gets back to the powers that be in Washington, right? Headlines happen, man. People see headlines. I don't care. It is what it is. We all human. You know what I'm saying? Professional athletes, these people, yeah, they might not see everything, but they see a lot of it. They might not read all the articles, but they see headlines. And they may read a lot of them and just say, oh, I didn't even see that. No, you saw it. We're human. We're not robots, right? So that's what I would say. I feel like you have to have an alignment of everybody, from your head coach to your players to your organization, your city. Everything has to be aligned, right? Meaning, case in point, D'Amico Ryans just got drafted. I mean, not drafted. The head coach for the Houston Texans, right? D'Amico Ryans played for the Houston Texans. He was drafted to the Houston Texans, right? D'Amico Ryans inherited the same exact team minus key people, right? They drafted C.J. Stroud, drafted Will Anderson, Tank Dell, right? Lovie Smith had that same team almost last year. They won 3 games. David Culley had that same team the year before, right? What's the difference? Lovie Smith, David Culley, they don't have any connection. They don't represent Houston. They don't represent what the city is about, right? So when you bring in D'Amico, he represents what the city is about. He represents what the organization is about. So the type of players that he brings in, they represent that same thing. You look at Dan Campbell, tight end in the NFL, work your way up through the coaching ranks, hard worker, hard nosed, nasty, physical. What is Detroit known as? Is the city hardcore, cold, working hard. Like that's the embodiment of the city, right? So then the players that they bring in, what are they? The same way. So because when you play for Detroit, you got to have that chip on your shoulder. Nobody gives you a chance. You don't get any national media. You got to go out and take everything that you want, right? When you play for the Cowboys, you probably a little on the bougie side, right?
I'm about to say
Listen, but take this out. Everybody that gets drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers, they all of a sudden they're tough guys now, right? They the Steel Curtain. We the tough guys, right? What is the culture? What is the embodiment of the Washington Commanders? You guys are the national. You guys are in DC. You guys need a head coach that can stand in front of the media and show that power and speak for that. And then you hire coordinators. And the coordinators that you hire a head coach that's going to lead the team, right? I'm going to lead these guys. We're going to be the national team, but I'm going to lead us in the right direction. You say you like Ben Johnson as an offensive coordinator? Okay, go hire his quarterbacks coach to be my offensive coordinator. Let Ben stay in Detroit. I'm going to get his quarterbacks coach, get him a pay raise, and let him come be the offensive coordinator. You like Mike McDonald? I'm going to go get one of his little young assistants and make him my defensive coordinator, right? And now I got a coach that, hey, we're going to be here for the long haul. We're going to be here for some years. And I got these young coordinators that's hungry to keep climbing. They freaking dying to get a raise. They ain't leaving in a year to get a head coaching job, right? They ain't leaving. They just a quarterbacks coach. They got to be a coordinator for some years, right? So now they're going to be here for a year. So, yeah, I got to work through the grind. It may not be peachy the first year, but when you keep that continuity and you get the right people in there and you got the right leader at the top, it happens. But when you go and try to get Ben Johnson to be the head coach, who's going to be the coordinator? Oh, you need a leader. To me, Dan Campbell speaks for the team. He speaks for the team. They feed off of his energy. His coordinators just coach. That's all y'all got to do. Right? So that's what you do. You go and find the quarterbacks coach, the wide receiver coach, the person that's, hey, who works closely with Ben Johnson? Who knows Ben Johnson's system? Right? Do I like his background? Do I feel like he can? Perfect. Because I don't really need you to be a leader of men. Yeah, you got to lead your offense. I really just need you to call plays, though. When I was in Houston with Wade Phillips would talk to us for like 2 minutes. Hey, guys, this is what we got today. Let's have a good practice. Make sure we run to the ball. And you done. Wade Phillips was like, I want you position coaches to coach your guys. I'm just going to call the plays on Sunday. I'm just going to call the plays. You make sure your guys ready to go. You ain't even got to have no conversation with Wade. Hey, I'm just going to call the plays. Wade over there in practice, kick back. He watching, making sure guys doing what they supposed to be doing, but you ain't even talking to Wade like that, right? That's a coordinator. So that's what I feel like you guys need, because Ron Rivera might be a good coach, but nobody hears his voice.
Hey, you know they had the audacity to hire a high school football coach to be the DB.
Oh Lord,
The DB coach in Washington.
Yeah, he was a DB coach for the entire season. Never, really no NFL experience. Straight from high school, one of Jack Del Rio's boys. Hired him to be the D-back coach.
After Chris Harris left.
That's why they was getting cooked by DJ Moore and all these different guys.
Yeah, man, you can't do that, man. You can't do that. I just feel
Go
like
ahead.
there's far too many good coaches out there. And when I say good coaches, I just mean guys that are, like I say, that's how you find all the guys. Everybody starts out, like I say, and I don't want to keep beating the dead horse, but when I started in Houston in 2009, right? Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator, right? But he was in his first year as an offensive coordinator. So he went on to Washington to be an offensive coordinator. He went on to Atlanta, I think, to be an offensive coordinator. Might have been a head coach in Atlanta. I can't remember.
Had to
And
stop
then
in
he worked
Cleveland
his
as
way
well.
up, right? Matt LaFleur, who's the head coach in Green Bay, was his quarterback's coach. Robert Saleh, who's the head coach in New York Jets right now, he was the linebacker quality control guy. He was the guy running the scout team, making all the cards for practice. That was Robert Saleh in 2009. He leaves there. He goes to Seattle, takes a job, or goes to Jacksonville, takes a job, keeps working his way up. And next thing you know, he's a coordinator in Seattle. They have some good years, and he's the hottest thing. Now he's a head coach in the NFL, right? 2009, he was the quality control guy. In 2009, DeMeco Ryans was a linebacker in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how they find all these guys. You find the guys that are doing the work, the quality control guys, the assistant, the quarterback, the coaches. They're the ones doing all the scouting. They the ones drawing up all the stuff. Them the ones that's doing that. You think they no, man. These guys got people that are drawing up all this stuff.
They got a team
Hey,
behind them.
yeah.
Wasn't Mike McDaniels also in Houston during your tenureship under Kubiak?
Nah, he wasn't there. Mike wasn't there that I know of.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
thought he-
if he
I
was
thought
there,
Cross lines. So, yeah, he probably, if he was there, he might have just been in the
he might have been so low on the totem pole, I ain't know who he was. And he could have been an offense. He could have been an offensive guy. I was a young defensive guy, right? So maybe he was so low on the totem pole, I didn't know who he was.
Hey, Glover, I got one last question for you, man. And this is somebody we actually didn't bring up today. I mean, as it relates to the Washington head coaching search, we're actually looking at two people from Detroit. We've only talked about Ben Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
And the other guy's right up your wheelhouse, man. Aaron Glenn, former cornerback. I mean, he was in the secondary. Can you kind of talk about what he would bring to the table? I mean, what you've seen from what he's brought to Detroit. I mean, if he's a guy that you could say, man, he probably can lead men, or he might be something in the future. Like, have you seen something from him to elevate him or get Washington fans to maybe consider him?
You know what? I like AG. I've been knowing AG for a long time. You know what I'm saying? I've been knowing him for a long time back from our time in Houston. Great guy. He's worked his way up. He's coached a long time through the systems in New Orleans. And like I said, that's how he got his job, right? Dan Campbell's on the staff in New Orleans, right? I need a coordinator. Hey, I think AG is a guy. So you go and pull him from a defensive backs coach or whatever he was in New Orleans, and now you make him a coordinator, right? But it takes time. His AG's first year in Detroit as the coordinator wasn't a great year. They didn't play great defense. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say they played hard and they lost a lot of close games because they couldn't stop anybody. You know what I'm saying? And just being there consistently for these 3 years now, they've gotten better and better and better. And yeah, they still have their games where they don't, whatever, but they've gotten better and better and better. And so I think AG is a good coach. Do I think he's a head coach at this moment? I don't know. But I think the biggest thing is if he's a head coach, in my opinion, you really have to have that connection. And I don't know if AG got a connection to the Commanders. Like, what's his? That's just a job then. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's different. Like, and I bring up DeMeco all the time because I'm familiar with this situation. But even Dan Campbell played for Detroit. I don't know if y'all even knew that. He played for Detroit a little bit.
Couple places.
Mike Shanahan was the OC back in the day with the 49ers.
Who, his dad?
Yeah, Mike Shanahan.
Right. Right.
As a OC for the 49ers under
Right.
and Young.
Right. So you gotta. I feel like you need that connection, in my opinion, and it needs to be something bigger than just you, right? Like D'Amico Ryans has a legacy as a player, so you don't want to come back and stink it up as a coach. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna go into I might go into the honor as a player for this organization and you know what I'm saying? So it's a connection there. I don't know the connection that Aaron Glenn will have with Washington. I don't know the connection that Ben will have. I don't know those things, but I'm not going to say that they don't deserve a head coaching job, because obviously we've seen young guys get head coaching jobs and they do well. You know what I'm saying? So I'm never going to say they don't deserve the job. If you get hired, then you deserve the job. You know what I'm saying? But I do know, I feel like connections to a city, to an organization in some kind of way. I either grew up there, I played there, something. I feel like those situations tend to work out better most of the time.
Well, you just described Raheem Morris for us, because he played here. He knows the city, knows the culture. I mean, not to say that he's going to be the favorite, but going by your words, man, he would be the dude, man.
But it would he be the leader, or would he want to be the hands-on guy? Because he's been hands-on his whole career, right? He's been that guy. You know, do he have a young, you know, what he's coaching in? He's coaching in the Rams LA, right now, right? Do we have a young DB assistant, right? What is he, the coordinator, or he's a
coordinator?
He's a coordinator there. So do he like his DB coach enough in LA to say, hey, if I get this head coaching job, I want you to be my coordinator? Do he like some, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Who is he gonna bring that he trusts to run his stuff, or is he gonna try to do it? And then sometimes, like I say, I don't know Raheem like that, but Raheem has had some things with, you know, situations. So sometimes you got to be able to get out your own way and be a leader. You ain't 30 years old and a player anymore. You got to know how to be like, you ain't the player. You got to be like the daddy. Like, I'm y'all daddy. I understand. I'm going to let y'all do y'all thing. I ain't going to do it with you, but we got to have that type of, you know what I'm saying, to where you ain't like so cool to where you just feel like players, like they could do what they want, but it's a level of respect and leadership there.
Raheem, that's first off, I'm gonna leave Raheem alone so we can go ahead and get Glover out of the way. Glover, man, I appreciate you joining us and honestly joining us for longer than we anticipated when we first linked up, man. So I want to make sure that that's known, man. You gave us plenty of time and plenty of conversation to chat. The people that are in here on the YouTube side, man, they definitely appreciate everything that you gave and dropped the gems for us. I want to give you the floor just for one quick second, just to let the people know where they can find you. Anything that you got going on. I know you're on the BLEAV Lions podcast as well, but I want to give you the floor just to plug anything that I'm missing. Appreciate you joining us, bro.
Oh man, I appreciate you guys for having me. I love talking ball, man. I mean, I was a part of it for a long time, man. I understand the ins and outs of it, man. So I like to talk it and help people and just give a different perspective of things that happen. Don't mean I'm always right, but it's just kind of what I feel. But I'm on the BLEAV Lions podcast. You can find it. It's on YouTube. It's on all the places that you listen to podcasts. But probably the coolest thing that I feel like I got going right now, man, and you guys are in Washington, so it might not, be applicable. But I love art, man. I do custom framing, man. I have fun with it. I frame all types of like cool projects, jerseys, photos, balls, bats, gloves, any daggone thing, man. It's fun, man. I enjoy it. It's a great escape for me. It's a way to connect with people and a way to just bring memories and all types of stuff to life that people can have for a long time. So you can find me on Instagram, Glover Quin. I'm on Twitter, Glover Quin Jr. My Instagram page has all my other pages. I got a photography page because I like taking photos. Got my framing page because I like doing that stuff too. So that's the cool side if you want to do something outside of football and just check something out, man. But the football stuff obviously is my personal page, and then the BLEAV in Lions podcast. And then if you want to check out some of those old
DB room, man.
DB videos,
Yeah.
film breakdowns, all that stuff, man. It's the DB room on YouTube. Some pretty cool stuff on there too.
Absolutely.
Hey, who you got winning Sunday?
I got Lions Ravens.
I was about to say, bro, I swore everything, bro. I was telling people at the gym during AJ. I was like, look, man, Niners on upset watch, bro. I swear to God, I said that. I don't know what's up with the Niners, bro, but when I seen Brock Purdy drop back a couple times in the first quarter, I said, hold on, bro. But then I also seen Detroit play throughout the whole season. I said, man, the way they run the football, bro, if they can get some type of balance against the Niners, I don't even know if the Niners got a chance. I know their defense, Detroit's Lions defense, they got some leaks, but they can create turnovers. If they get like 2 turnovers, you're talking about Detroit having a chance in the fourth quarter with like 5 minutes left and a chance to win, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, and I think because one of my best friends is a 49er fan, so me and him going to the game on Sunday.
Oh, that's lit. There you go.
And we actually called it a while ago. He was like, "Hey, dog, if we meet in the playoffs in the championship game, we going." And it happened. So I had to hold up my end of the bargain. We going. But throughout the season, just watching those guys, to me, they were unbeatable for a long time. And you look like the 49ers were this team that was like indestructible, just like world beaters. And then Deebo Samuel got hurt. Trent Williams got hurt. Trent Williams came back. Deebo Samuels was still out. They go on a 3-game losing streak. All with Deebo Samuel not in the lineup. Deebo Samuel comes back. They look like a totally different team. You look at them in the finishing up the season. Deebo Samuel's healthy. They're playing unbelievable. You look at them in Green Bay. Deebo Samuel goes out. They just don't seem to have the same edge. Christian McCaffrey is still Christian. George Kittle is still George, but it's just different when Deebo is not out there. So if Deebo can't play, it's tough. It's going to be tough on him. If he does play, it'll be closer. I got the Lions winning by 3, but it is what it is.
Oh, so we can go ahead and bet that. We can go ahead and take that to the bank.
The bet already in. The bet was in before this show, bro. I already locked in the Lions, bro.
I think
let's go.
I think it'll come down to turnovers, man. What quarterback is gonna make more plays than the other? And if that pressure gets to either one of those guys, Purdy or Goff, that'll determine who win the game. Turnovers, like that's.
I mean, I think Vegas got the line at +7.
Yeah, it's at 7 right now. Yeah. That's easy money if you're a Detroit fan.
Nah.
Like put the give me my touchdown, bro.
Hey, Detroit money line, baby.
Hey,
Let's go.
Hey, Dre, I'm locked in, bro. You already know that.
We gonna have to recap this next Tuesday and see.
Now without AJ, bro, because AJ, AJ,
AJ be hating.
Yeah, AJ don't.
And they say haters just because I got a strong opinion about certain things. Like I like elite players. I like playmakers. So like with Ben Johnson, I want you to feed Jahmyr Gibbs. I want you to feed Jameson Williams more. I get your system and you want to spread the ball around, but it's like feed your fucking dogs. Like that's
right. But you got to look at it like this right here, right? Think about it in basketball. Kobe Bryant can go one-on-one for sure, but he can score more inside of the triangle.
Hey, that's
true.
Knowledge.
You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. If I'm Joel Embiid and I got 45 in the halftime, I better be coming out of second half still getting those touches. But you can't in football until you get those touches. You never know who got the hot hand.
Right, but he's getting those 45 inside the system. He's not coming across half court, and it's like, hey, Joel Embiid, don't go one-on-one and beat everybody.
Hey man,
he's scoring those inside of the system.
I'd be a rule breaker and break the law, man.
Hey, you only want to feed your favorite dogs. You don't want to feed all the
Right.
dogs, man. That's the problem.
Hey, come on, bro.
I was just playing around. But
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure, man, hearing your perspective,
Yes,
and
sir.
I think, like, giving our listeners great insight on how, like, a guy like you, a vetted NFL veteran that has been around so many different dynamics of coaching styles, from the Caldwells to the Kubiaks to Wade Phillips, whatever. And especially it's an important time for the Washington fan base trying to hit home on this coaching hire. And you see so many people advocating for the offensive guys all the time, but we're literally watching the Detroit Lions with a guy that calls no plays, Baltimore Ravens with Harbaugh, who calls no plays, going against, teams that have offensive mind coaches. So it's like both ways can be done. It's just about making the right pick and hoping that it click.
Right. You got to have that at the end of the day. Make the right pick, man. Hope it click. But the biggest thing is also, man, you got to give them time. You know what I'm saying? You got to give them time.
That's
And a lot of times these organizations don't give guys enough time. So we'll see how this all play out.
Absolutely. Hey, Glover, man, enjoy the game this weekend, bro. Be safe. Look, me and Dre already got I got the lines locked in. I don't know if Dre just talk right now, but I got the lines. All right, bet. Say no more. Me and Dre got the lines plus the 7. I got the money line as soon as I put my deposit in on FanDuel. But we locked in, man. Glover, be safe, bro. Appreciate you, big dog.
All right, man. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Already, man. There go Glover. Fellas. Oh, there go Dre. He's a smart man.
Drake.
Anyway.
Drake, yeah. His hand be right on the X button as soon as it approaches that time. He'd be
Hey, but look, that's it though. Like, I ain't even gonna lie to you. The whole part, like, I thought we was gonna do call-ins and everything, but Glover stuck with us the whole show. So when we talk about a Ben Johnson coach profile, we did just that. Shout out to JB. He said HTCC. Jaden Daniels gave us $2, man. I appreciate you, JB, for checking in, showing some love, showing some support as well. That's always appreciated. We're gonna circle back next week to talk about these quarterbacks. We're gonna talk about maybe a coordinator or two. Again, maybe I can get a guy for San Francisco Los Angeles, who can tap into it. Maybe we get another player, former player. So let's kind of put that on the side.
By next week, we should know who's gonna be the head coach.
That is also true.
Next Tuesday, 7 p.m., we should know who the hell the damn head coach is, because Senior Bowl is that week. So yes, you would hope that you have some type of answer so you could, start formulating things. But yeah, yes, I think next week would be a great episode for people to just chime in on who this new head coach is going to be, because I definitely think that hire is made next week.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be this week, but because I thought that the Lions were going to lose, and that would help expedite things for all organizations. But as we've seen in the last 24 hours, teams have hired new GMs. Teams have hired new head coaches. Brian Callahan, Bill Callahan's son, is now the head coach for the Tennessee Titans.
A guy who hasn't called plays before. Shout out to Eric Bieniemy, just for the sake of proving that he ain't.
But the nepotism, bro. Like that's where, like, even Glover was touching on the relationship side. Like,
yeah.
Even though Brian's young, he's gonna be able to pull from his daddy's, his network. So who else? Harbaugh is probably about to get the job in LA with the Chargers. Raiders hired a new GM. So yeah, a lot of teams are starting to close in on their guys, and it's going to be interesting. I put a little prediction out there before, everything falls in place. But I think the best place for Ben Johnson of the remaining jobs to go and immediately have success offensively is Atlanta Falcons.
Somebody else said that in the chat too, but I ain't about to scroll up. It's not a bad idea. I think he got a couple options. That's not a bad idea, but Atlanta got some pieces. And they got an offensive line that you ain't got to retool. Like, man, already there.
He got the offensive line. He got Drake London, that's an athletic enough big wide receiver.
Hey man, future Hall of Famer.
You got, what is it, Alliger, or however you say his name?
Algier, yeah.
And you got a weapon in Kyle Pitts at tight end. Man, all he got to do is get a quarterback.
All you got to do is get a quarterback, man.
That's
Hey,
it.
so listen, we're going to open up the show next week. Again, shout out to Glover Quin. He killed it today. Jay Tyler, I sent you in the chat as well. And everybody else as well. Just giving appreciation to the interview. And Hawk, I see you as well too. So we'll be back next week. We'll open up the show as well. We'll have more in detail conversations just in the case we don't even have a head coach. Either way, it'll be open. You can talk about who you want, or you can talk about the hire that they made. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for us this week. All 32 will be back on Thursday night or Friday morning, one or the other. Don't matter. With all that being said, man, we up out of here. I hope you all appreciated it. Until next time, man.
Yes,
Peace.
sir.